If you're looking for a wireless mic system as a content creator, then there are heaps of options out there ranging from really cheap to really expensive. So today I'm reviewing one of the more affordable options, which is the BOYALINK wireless mic system. I'm going to break it down by talking about my thoughts on the design and build quality, the actual audio performance and ease of use, some pros and cons of this mic system, and then finally I'll share my recommendations on whether or not I think this is a good buy. So first of all, let's talk a bit about the design and the build quality of the BOYALINK. And to be honest, I was really actually quite impressed. I wasn't sure what to expect with a system that's definitely on the cheaper side, but I think the design looks quite sleek and clean. I really like the clear see-through cover on the case that lets you see whether or not each device is charging within the case. It's all made of quite light plastic, but it doesn't feel like cheap plastic. It feels like quality plastic. And the fact that it's light and quality makes it ideal for a mic system. It's got rubber feet on the bottom of the charge case, which I think is actually a really nice touch. When you place it down on a desk, it just feels sturdy, it feels solid because of those rubber feet helping to grip the surface. And then I also really like the simple 4 LED lights on the front of the case that help you see the level of charge that the case currently has. I think it's a great, quick and easy way to just reference whether or not you need to charge the case before taking it out on a shoot. And then lastly, I actually really like how the little windshields just clip and twist onto the mics themselves. I think it's a much more secure way of attaching windshields than on other mic systems that I've seen before. But with all of that out of the way, let's talk a bit about the setup and pairing of these mics. Now for me, the whole system honestly worked perfectly right out of the box, which is really nice to see. Literally all I had to do was pop out the receiver and one or two of the mics and they pair automatically within seconds. If the light on the devices is blinking blue, that means it's searching to pair. And then when it's a solid blue, that means it's got a solid connection. And then to be able to plug the receiver into different devices, it's a pretty simple, straightforward setup. All you have to do is just slide off the connector on the back of the receiver and then just clip in the alternate connector that you want to plug into your next device. So overall, I found the setup super easy and well thought out. Now let's talk a bit about the actual audio performance, because that's kind of one of the main things that you want to know about when it comes to a mic review. And overall, I would say I've been impressed with the audio quality from the BOYALINK. It's quite decent. I would say overall it sounds a little bit on the process side. It lacks a bit of bass, but that is to be expected from a lapel mic. It's never going to have as much depth as something like a podcasting mic, for example. So you have to take that into account. And the fact that it sounds a little bit processed to me, I don't think is that distracting. Like, it's not going to be super noticeable, and a little bit of extra EQ in post will help to clean it up a lot. Now obviously this whole video is being recorded with the BOYALINK, so let me know in the comments what you think of how it sounds, of the quality of the mic, because I'm very keen to hear your thoughts. Now while we're talking about audio quality, I wanted to talk a bit about the noise reduction feature. And again, I was relatively impressed. The thing that I liked most about the BOYALINK noise reduction is that it's not too aggressive. I've used inbuilt noise reduction on some cheaper mics before and it's been really aggressive. So it does a great job of cutting out background noise, but then it makes your voice sound super processed. Whereas I noticed with these mics, it does really reduce background noise, but it doesn't completely eliminate it, which I would say is a good thing because it's not pushing the noise reduction so hard that it distorts your actual voice. All right, so here we are in the park again. So I'm just going to try the noise reduction feature. It's actually pretty quiet out here in the park today, but we've got some birds and a bit of a soccer game being played behind me with some people walking by. So this is what the noise levels are currently like. Now I'm going to switch on the noise reduction to see how that sounds. So this is with the noise reduction feature turned on. So let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think this noise reduction feature sounds good? Does it sound too processed? Does it cut out the background noise? Let me know your thoughts. Now next up, let's talk about that 100-meter range claim, which is pretty big. So I was really keen to see how these mics would perform, and I was again really quite impressed. Indoors, I did a test where I left my recording device up one end of my apartment and then walked all the way to the other end of my apartment, which has about 4 solid walls in between myself and the receiver, and I still was able to get a clear signal as long as I was facing towards the receiver. Now this is something that Boya mentions on their website. If you are facing away from the receiver, you will experience some interference, and that's what I experienced. If I was facing away from the receiver, then my body seemed to interfere a bit with the actual signal and it would be a little bit choppy, but then as soon as I turned around and faced the actual camera, it seemed to clear up and was totally fine. So that's something worth keeping in mind and pretty normal to be expected. Then I tested the mic system outdoors to see how far I could actually get. All right, so we're gonna do a mic test outdoors in the park, and I'm just gonna walk back away from the camera and see how far we can get. So I'm going to walk to about 10 meters away, give it a test. So this is 10 meters away from the camera. So the transmitter and the receiver are 10 meters apart here. All right, so we're now 20 meters away from the camera. So this is how the audio sounds. Here we are at a solid 30 meters away. This is how the audio sounds. So this will be the last test. This is about 45 meters, almost 50 meters away from the camera. And if you haven't already seen my video on e-skate safety, make sure you do to avoid having to limp around in a leg brace like I am right now. So as you can see, I got to about 50 meters away, and I am honestly confident that it would go even further than that without any real issues. Again, as long as you're actually facing towards the camera and not facing away from it. I did notice that while I was walking away from the camera, it would almost completely drop out at times, but then again, when I turned back towards the camera, it would reconnect, it would have no problems, and I'd have a clear signal. So again, I was very impressed with the range ability of it. So next, I want to talk a bit about the actual comfort and ergonomics of this mic system. And I really like that the transmitters are light and they've got a really small form factor. Some wireless mics like the Rode Go 2s are actually quite bulky and on the heavier side when it comes to wireless lapels. And I've even noticed on loose fitting clothing that those types of mics can drag the clothing down and make the mic even more noticeable. But with the BOYALINK, because it's small, it's lightweight, I think it really fits quite nicely onto any type of clothing. And then similar with the receiver design, I think because it's got quite a simple setup, you can plug it quite cleanly into a range of devices. Like it plugged quite cleanly into my MacBook, into my iPhone, and then obviously again into my camera. I even kind of like the fact that it didn't actually clip into the cold shoe on my camera because it left that space available for other accessories. When it comes to battery life, it was really good. I had no problems whatsoever. I left the mic and receiver on for about 6 hours, and I think it only finally died in like the 7th hour. So unless you're recording for extremely long sessions, then you won't have any problems with battery life. Now lastly, I want to talk about some pros and cons of this mic system, and then whether or not it's a good value for money. So starting off with the pros, I'd say number one, it's got a really great design. I think it looks good, it's practical, and the build quality is really good. I think this mic system will last if you look after it. The next major pro is just how simple of a system it is. Honestly, like I think that's probably the biggest selling point of this mic system. Literally all you have to do is pull it out of the case, it connects, and you're good to go. You just got to plug it in, clip it on. It's just very intuitive and simple to use. And lastly, the ability to be able to plug it into a wide range of devices is a huge pro. If you're a content creator that uses different devices to record, like maybe you record on your phone, maybe you do a podcast on your laptop or Zoom calls or something like that, and then you record on a camera, then this will cover you for all of those different devices. Even if you're recording on a phone, you can just record in the native phone app. You don't need to use the proprietary Boya app to record. So next up, let's talk about some of the cons of the BOYALINK. And the first big thing for me that I noticed was that there's no ability to monitor audio levels. Now to me, this is understandable because these are cheaper devices, and so adding screens onto just the receiver would increase the price. But at the same time, I really would like to be able to monitor the audio levels, especially if I'm plugging into different devices. Don't always know where the levels are at. When I'm recording on my camera, I can see audio meters. But when I've got it plugged into my phone or my laptop, it's a lot harder to be able to figure out exactly how loud my voice is coming through. The next con is that there's no way to know where your battery life is on the receiver or on the transmitters. Now, when they do get low on battery, the LED will flash red so that you know you need to charge them ASAP. But it would be nice to just have even like a simple 3-bar system just to be able to see what level they're at. But again, I understand to add some sort of screen would increase the cost of these mics. And lastly, there's no ability to plug in any kind of wide lapel to the transmitters. And once again, these are all kind of things that I can understand. That's not really what they're designed for. They're designed to be entry-level clip-on lapel mics. So all that said, I really do think these mics are good value for money. In Australia, you can get them from about 140 to 160 Australian dollars, which is the equivalent of about 90 to 105 US dollars. And considering that's less than half the price of what I would probably consider the best in class, which is the Rode Wireless Go 2 or the DJI wireless mic system, I think it's a great option. If you're just looking to get started in content creation or a wireless lapel mic system, and you don't necessarily need like the best of the best performance and audio quality and extra features that those best in class mics would have, then I do honestly recommend the BOYALINK wireless mic system. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave them below. I'll do my best to answer them. Let me know in the comments what you think of this mic, how it sounds, and the overall design. And if you're still deciding on which type of mic to buy, then check out this video here where I compare a whole bunch of different types of microphones that are quite popular with actual audio examples. Other than that, I hope you have an amazing day today, and I'll see you very soon in the next video.